Hello everyone, this is part 19 of What If Naruto Was the Child of the Moon in Percy Jackson, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Talia still couldn't believe she spent a whole afternoon comforting Naruto, and up in a tree no less. She shuddered at the thought. Time seemed to fly by as they talked, they never even noticed the sun setting. Naruto, being the gentleman he is, brought his companion down to the ground as gently as he could. They made it to the dining pavilion as discreetly as they could. They didn't want the camp to get the wrong idea or make it an issue. But to their surprise, the campers gave them knowing looks as they walked up despite coming in one at a time. Before the two even made it to the pavilion, they could already smell the food that the harpies made. There was pizza, barbecue, which Naruto couldn't care for, and of course his never-ending supply of ramen. Braziers and torches were hung up on the posts to keep the campers warm in the cold winter months. And as camp tradition, Naruto still questions the tradition to this day, the cabins had to sit separately on their own tables. Naruto immediately spotted Percy sitting alone on the Poseidon table. Each of the other tables had a few campers each. Even the Hermes table, who was normally brimming with campers sitting. On that table, he saw Nico and Bianca fitting in. Naruto narrowed his eyes at what he was seeing. It seemed like the brothers were fighting over her, much to the girl's annoyance. "I'll join Percy today," Naruto said. "I haven't seen him in 2 months." "Alright." Talia winked and made her way to the Zeus table. Naruto, on the other hand, walked over to his best friend in camp and joined him for a meal. "I don't suppose your dad would mind if I sat here in the meantime?" Naruto asked. "Nah, bro," Percy said. "He's pretty chill when it comes to you." "Cool," Naruto answered and sat down in front of Percy. This brings me back," Naruto said as he brought out a pair of reusable chopsticks he got made in Konoha. "All that's left is Grover shouting something about enchiladas," Percy added. The two of them turned to look at their satyr friend. Sadly, he wasn't running as he yelled about his favorite food. "Yeah, that was pushing it," Naruto said as he chuckled. "I guess he doesn't have to run to a cafeteria to get some food," Percy answered, chuckling. It was quiet except for the laughing and giggling coming from the Artemis table and the ruckus the Knot twins Connor and Travis were making. A couple of the hunters were arm wrestling, not one of them giving the other an inch. In the other tables though, most, if not all, of the campers were eyeing the head table. To be specific, they were eyeing a certain gray-haired, masked camp counselor who was chewing some food despite his mask still covering his face. "How does he do that?" Percy asked. "Beats me." Naruto shrugged. "I have been trying to know about that ever since I was a genin." Naruto's mischievous grin returned to his face. "I just thought of an awesome prank for Kakashi-sensei." "What do you have in mind?" Percy asked. "I think I want to expose Kakashi-sensei's face," Naruto whispered so his teacher wouldn't hear him. "Are you sure you can pull that off?" Percy asked. "My friend, life finds a way," Naruto answered. "Don't you mean, I'll find a way," the son of Poseidon clarified. Naruto shrugged. "Nah, the first one sounds better." So, Naruto took a sip of the broth of his third bowl. "What's up with you? You looked devastated before I came over here." "Yeah, Dad's trying to blow it up, but the old sea spirits are preventing him from doing so, or so that's what Tyson said," Percy explained, sliding his slice of barbecue back and forth in his plate. "What?" Naruto almost yelled that out. "But I blew up that ship last summer." "Well, it looks like they have some powerful stuff backing them up," Percy suggested. "It seems so," Naruto said, his voice trailing off. "What else? That can't be the only one on your mind." Percy's plate seemed to be intriguing as the raven-haired boy stared at it when the blonde asked his question. "Well, it's getting pretty lonely in my cabin. I miss Tyson." "Same here, dude," Naruto answered. "How is that big guy anyway?" "Oh, he's doing good," Percy said. "He's loving the job." "I see, that's good," Naruto said. "What about you?" Percy returned the question. "You okay now?" "Yeah." Naruto twirled some noodles on his chopsticks. "Talia really let me have it a while back." "So, what will you do now?" Percy asked. "You got kicked out of your own cabin." Naruto growled. "Yeah, I didn't want to say it in front of her, but where do they come from kicking me out? I feel you, Percy said. It's bad enough we aren't allowed to sleep in another god's cabin. He took a sip of his blue coke from the never-ending goblet. So, what will you do now? Naruto didn't get to answer. Chiron took that moment to raise his own cup and tapped it with a spoon. I'd like to propose a toast to our guests, the hunters of Artemis. Chiron's voice boomed throughout the dining pavilion. The campers raised their own goblets and cheered half-heartedly. It seems like they weren't too keen on having the immortal maidens over. I mean, given the camp's history with them, it's no wonder they weren't too happy. After the clapping died down, Chiron continued. I hope you have a nice stay in our camp this time. Now, I would also like to formally welcome our combat instructor to camp. Please all welcome, Mr. Kakashi Hatake. Kakashi stood up and waved to everyone. We've already met this morning, but I am glad to be here and teach all of you. Who's your godly parent? Someone blurted out from the Hermes table. As if to illustrate the point, a glowing symbol of an owl appeared over his head. The campers looked at him in awe. No wonder you're so smart, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto yelled out his comment from the Poseidon table. Kakashi didn't say anything. He was stunned by his claiming. After all, this was the first time he had witnessed the event happening. It is determined, Chiron said as he knelt in reverence. All around the pavilion, everyone, except the hunters, followed the centaur's example. That's not necessary everyone. Kakashi tried to stop them when he noticed what everyone was doing. Athena, he began. Goddess of wisdom, strategy, warfare and the arts. Hail, Kakashi, son of the wisdom goddess. I'm telling you it is not necessary, Kakashi insisted. Just go with it, Grover said. It's part of our tradition. Kakashi nodded as he rubbed the back of his head and beamed a smile. After that ordeal was over, everyone returned to their seats and Chiron resumed his announcements. Now, the next order of business, with the hunters here at camp, Naruto here has to be relocated in the meantime. Does any cabin want to welcome him to the cabin for a while? We'll gladly take him. Lee Fletcher, the head counselor for the Apollo cabin announced, earning nods from his siblings. After all, he is our cousin. No, he'll sleep in our cabin. Selena Beauregard, the head counselor of the Aphrodite cabin, counted. We will welcome him with open arms, right girls? A bunch of the Aphrodite campers squealed in delight and nodded vigorously at the thought of Naruto joining them in their cabin. We'll take him. Malcolm Pace, one of Annabeth's siblings and her second-in-command, yelled, then continued with a wink. I'm sure Annabeth would want you to welcome you into our cabin. You can also tell us all about our new brother. Oh, he should sleep in our cabin. Travis and Connor Stoll, the not twin counselors of the Hermes cabin, volunteered. Think of all the pranks we can come up with. And we could get to know our new additions to camp. They gestured to Bianca and Nico, with the former having a blush on her face with a get-to-know the part. Arguments broke out throughout the cabins. Pretty soon insults were being thrown at one another. Now, not one of them was now reasoning on who should take Naruto in. Talia tried to present her own case, but he was quickly shot down by the camp director. Absolutely not, Ms. Grace. I know what you hormonal teenagers are up to nowadays. I will not leave two campers alone in a cabin. He scolded, causing the much younger demigods to have a look of confusion and the older demigods to blush at what he was implying. Now, get this over with, and let us go to the campfire. The arguments and insults returned after Mr. D's outburst, causing the activities director to sigh. Does this always happen? Kakashi asked. I'm afraid so, Chiron answered. Should we stop this? The Jonin asked again. Just give it a moment, Grover said. With a loud sigh, Chiron raised his hoof and slammed it on the marble floor, silencing the arguments. All right, that's enough arguing for one night, his voice boomed throughout the pavilion. I didn't expect so many of you to offer your cabins. In hindsight, I kinda saw that coming, Grover said, causing the Jonin to shrug. So, you won't argue any longer, Chiron continued. Why don't we let the guest choose where he wants to stay, shall we? Me? Naruto asked. Well, I haven't really given it much thought, but tonight I want to stay at cabin 3 for a while. It will be just like old times. Nice. Percy cheered as he raised a hand for a high five with his adopted brother. The other kids let out a collective awe at the decision from all the other demigods. But Naruto raised his hand. I could spend a night in the other cabins too, even just for a night. Cheers were heard from the other tables at Naruto's suggestions. All right, Chiron silenced the crowd once again. Before we turn in for the night, I would like to remind everyone of our goodwill capture the flag game tomorrow night against the Hunters tomorrow. Groans could be heard from those who stayed at camp longer. Something tells me that we're playing at a disadvantage against tomorrow, Percy said. Yeah, but that's not gonna stop us, is it? Naruto said. We're going get those asterisk 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 asterisk, Percy said. Whoa, Naruto stopped the boy. Even I wouldn't go that far. Oops, my bad, Percy chortled. Better not let them hear that then. Naruto let out a laugh of his own as he shared a laugh with the boy he considered his brother. For the first time that day, Percy felt good. He was thankful to have someone to share the cabin with. And more importantly, he was thankful to share his problems with so he wouldn't have to go through them alone. Somewhere in the west coast of the United States, a blonde-haired teen woke up on a dark hillside that was shrouded in fog. By the looks of it, you would mistake it for the underworld. The girl looked around, her breathing quickened. One thought crossed her mind, oh no. She looked around. The place seemed very spacious. You couldn't see the roof above, just continuous darkness, again fueling the theory that it was in the underworld. She began to trudge up the hill. All around her, there were old Greek columns of black marble like something blasted the place to pieces. Thorn. Annabeth cried out. Show yourself, you coward. Why did you bring me here? She continued to climb the hill and made his way over to a section of the broken wall that was at the crest of the hill. What she saw next made her gasp. It was Luke. The fog and darkness seemed to be unusually thicker around him. He was crumpled on the ground trying to rise against an unseen force. His clothes were in tatters and there was a look of desperation on his face. Annabeth, the demigod called out. Help me, please. Without thinking, she ran towards him, letting the voice of concern overpower the voice of her reason. She had tears in her eyes. Despite everything that this man did, Annabeth still cared about him. She raised her hand forward to touch the boy's face, but she hesitated at the last second. What happened? She asked. They left me here, Luke groaned in pain. Please. It's killing me. Why should I trust you? Annabeth asked, but the mere thought of asking that hurt her. You shouldn't, Luke answered. I've been terrible to you. But if you don't help me, I'll die. A crumbling sound came from the darkness above, just like an earthquake shaking a cavern roof. Huge chunks of rock broke off from the main spire of darkness and the whole ceiling dropped. Annabeth moved to catch Luke and eased his burden even just for a bit. Surprisingly, she was able to keep it from collapsing with just her own strength. Luke rolled free, gasping, and coughing from the effort. Thanks. Help me hold it, Annabeth called out. Luke caught his breath. His face was covered in sweat and grime, but Annabeth could see an evil smile strewn across his lips. He rose unsteadily. I knew I could count on you, Luke said darkly as he walked away. I knew you would take the bait. Where are you going? Annabeth yelled. Help me. Oh. Don't worry, Luke said as he let out an evil laugh. Your help is on the way. It's all part of the plan. In the meantime, try not die. The ceiling crumbled again, pushing Annabeth to the ground. Cabin 3. Naruto sat up on the upper bunk of Percy's bed. Sweat made his shirt damp and his hands were clawing at the sheets. Naruto turned to the saltwater spring that gurgled along. Naruto gripped his fist. He had just seen Luke bait Annabeth into a trap. He couldn't blame the daughter of Athena though. They had spent their childhood together and she still couldn't accept the fact that the older demigod had betrayed camp. He looked out of the window and saw that the light was creeping from the setting sun. He immediately thought about his uncle, the god Apollo. That meant he had slept in that day if the rising sun was any indication. After all, the sun god sets out late in the winter. He stretched from his bed and sat up. Percy stirred on the bottom bunk as he woke up from a snore coming from his own nose. What the? Percy complained as the rays of the sun blinded him. It's morning already. Pretty much, yeah, Naruto said. What's up with you? Percy asked. You look like you've seen a ghost. Tell you later, Naruto answered. I think Grover should hear about this too. If you say so, Percy relented. After that brief exchange, Percy and Naruto got ready for the day. Percy loaned Naruto some clothes since he didn't get a chance to go to his old room and get some supplies. Fortunately for him, Percy's clothes fit him, but they were a bit tight given that the blonde was more buff than his brother, so the shirt hugged his muscles, outlining them and highlighting them much more. That morning, before going on a shower, he decided to drop by his mother's cabin to pick up some clothes despite what the hunters might think. A few of the females who woke up early found themselves with their mouths hanging open as they watched the blonde walk to the Artemis cabin. I just wore something tight today, Naruto sighed. A couple of waves, hellos, flirting Aphrodite campers, and, close your mouth. Something might fly in later, and he made it to his mother's cabin. Knock knock. He knocked on the door. He found this weird as he didn't have to do this before, but he pushed that thought aside for a while as the knob turned and creaked open. Who the hell is knocking? The girl opening the said in an irate manner, but she caught herself as she recognized who was waiting at the door. Oh, it's just you. Hello. Naruto waved, giving the girl a smile. Phoebe. Who is that? Zoe's voice called out from the inside. It's just the mistress brat. Phoebe yelled back. What? Zoe said, then the lieutenant's footsteps could be heard stomping to the door. You still don't look like much. Those were the last things that the hunter said as the lieutenant yanked the door open and confronted the blonde. I thought I told thee, she began, but was cut off when Naruto raised his hand. Save it. I know what you're going to say. He answered back to the hunter's lieutenant. Zoe wasn't expecting that. He thought her mistress' son was some kind of pushover, and the rumors that spread throughout the godly world were just that, rumors. He even relented too fast when she tried to ban him from his own cabin and table without much fuss. But here, now in front of her, the air around the blonde was different. Not wanting to back down to a mere boy, the lieutenant postured to assert her dominance over the situation. Did thou just talk back to me, boy? Yes I did. Why? Not used to this happening? Naruto asked with much spunk as he can. Why thee little? Zoe tried to charge the blonde, but she was held back by her fellow hunters. No, Zoe, don't. Phoebe warned. The mistress wouldn't like that. But Zoe grit her teeth and stared daggers at Naruto. Fine. She held her gaze. What do you want, anyway? Look, I didn't come here to argue, you know, Naruto said. I just came here to get some clothes for a few days. Percy's clothes don't exactly fit me. He gestured to the shirt he was currently wearing. A few of the girls gulped at the sight, but they held strong. Why don't thou just live with it for a while? Zoe challenged. Thou are getting the attention you want, am I right? She pointed to the different girls who were watching him as he spoke to the hunters. Naruto turned to look behind him. The girls around him feigned ignorance and pretended to return to the daily activities. But they were so bad at hiding their attempts of watching that Naruto saw through the facade and sweat dropped at that. He sighed and turned back to continue the conversation with his mother's right-hand woman. That's not the point here, Zoe. Let's face it, I'm not really asking. I have as much right to this cabin as you, Naruto reasoned. Fine. The immortal lady gripped her fists. Make it quick. I'm glad we understand each other, Naruto said as he entered the building, sending nods to the watching hunters. Some of the older campers sent him flashes of annoyance while the younger ones briefly considered him. He opened his door and entered the room. The hunters tried to peek into the room to see what was inside. Zoe had to admit she wanted to peek into the room to see what made their mistress' son so special. Unfortunately for them, most of the furniture were not facing the door. They will have to rely on underhanded tactics for this one. Naruto packed a small orange bag designed with a simple check mark. The branding of which the hunters swore they saw somewhere before. He filled up his bag with clothes enough to last him a few days. He didn't pack everything as he knew he would be coming back in this room anyway. He looked at something taped on the door of his closet. They couldn't see what it was, but he looked at it with a sad smile. He stroked it with the back of his hand and closed the door. The blonde exited the room and locked the door. He didn't say another word as he walked past his sisters, but he stopped at the door to get one last word in. Zoe, we can settle this tonight at the battlefield. He didn't wait for a response as he left his own cabin. He wasn't proud of what he had done, and he knew that it would set him back from earning the acknowledgement of his sisters, but he didn't want them to push him around anymore. Hopefully, in the future, things would get better. Later, after eating breakfast, the odd trio of Naruto, Percy, and Grover sat by the meadows watching the satyrs chase wood nymphs through the snow. Percy still couldn't believe that these trees were faster than the satyrs. But alas, they were faster. The nymphs spotted Naruto and giggled. They flexed their fingers in a come here motion, daring the blonde to come to catch them. Naruto just waved at them. In that meadow, as the boys watched the satyrs fail to catch up with the nymphs, Naruto narrated the weird dream he had about Annabeth the night before. She was forced to carry something. Grover asked. Yep. Naruto nodded. And Luke tricked her to do that? Percy asked, gritting his teeth at the mention of the son of Hermes. Pretty much. Naruto nodded. I don't know what the dream means, Percy said. Can all half-blood dreams be any vaguer? Grover and Naruto shrugged. I don't know, Grover began. But after Zoe's dream. Wait, hold up. Naruto waved his arms around to stop the satyr's statement. And you know about this because I sorta happened to be accidentally camped outside cabin 8, Grover meekly said as he scratched his cheek in embarrassment. Dude, why? Naruto deadpanned. Just to be near them, you know, the satyr explained. Dude, not cool, Percy said. Yeah, dude, Naruto added. That's entering into stalker territory. I am not a stalker. Grover defended himself. We can call it anything we want, G-Man, but I think we can all agree, this is creepy, Percy countered. Alright, I get it. Grover snapped, desperate to change the subject. Anyway, I followed her to the big house. Cough, definitely a stalker. Cough asterisk, Naruto blurted out, getting a glare from the satyr and a chuckle from Percy. Right, sorry, Naruto apologized in between laughs. Please continue. Well, she was really upset when Argus didn't let her in. It was kind of a dangerous scene, Grover continued. What did she say? Percy asked. Grover grimaced. Well, she started talking in an old-fashioned way, so it was kind of hard to understand, but I picked up bits and pieces. There was something about Artemis being in trouble and needing the hunters. And then she called him a boil-brained lout. I think that's a bad thing. And then she called him a... Wait, Carson is in trouble. Naruto blurted out. What did he call her? Percy immediately asked after Grover asked. Naruto frowned at Percy's question, causing Percy to rub the back of his head. Right, sorry. I was just curious. How could Artemis be in trouble? Percy asked. Well, Chiron finally came out in his pajamas and his horsetails in curlers and... Curlers? Percy asked. I think you weren't meant to see that. Dude, you were noticing the wrong things, Naruto scolded the satyr. What do you mean she's in trouble? Well, Zoe was asking for permission to leave camp immediately. Chiron refused. He reminded them that they were supposed to stay in camp until they received further orders. And she said, Grover gulped. She said, how are we supposed to get orders if Artemis is lost? What do you mean lost? Percy asked. Like she needs directions. No. Naruto grit his teeth. She means taken, kidnapped. Kidnapped. Percy frowned. How are you supposed to kidnap an immortal? Is it even possible? Well, it has happened before. It happened to Persephone, Grover said. Isn't she like a minor goddess? The goddess of flowers, right? Grover looked offended. It's springtime, Percy. She's the goddess of springtime. Right, Percy waved him off. But Artemis is a lot more powerful. Who could possibly kidnap her? Grover shook his head. I don't know Kronos. Can he be that powerful already? Percy asked. Remember Percy, Naruto tightened his fists. He's not the only one stirring. Kronos still has brothers, right? Yes, but I don't know, Grover shrugged. But it is weird that Zoe and Naruto would have a nightmare at the same time. Maybe they're connected, Percy guessed. Their conversation was interrupted as a loud thump was heard from the meadow where the satyrs were chasing the nymphs. A satyr's hooves skidded on his hooves as he chased after a red-headed nymph. She giggled as the goat man ran towards her. And then, poof asterisk, she turned into a Scotch pine and he kissed the trunk at top speed. Ah, love, Grover swooned. I've got to do something, Naruto said. We've got to look for her. Grover shook his head. Think about it, Naruto. Chiron didn't approve of Zoe leaving camp to look for her. He most certainly wouldn't let you. Who cares if he lets me go or not? Naruto argued. Percy left camp to go look for you last summer. Not exactly the role model you want, Grover answered. Hey, Percy protested. The quest was going to fail without our help. He's got a point, Grover, Naruto defended the boy. Tantalus wanted the quest to fail, so he sent me and Clarice alone. But this time it's different. She didn't allow any of the hunters or you follow her for a reason. I am sure Chiron would say the same thing. Grover countered. Besides, I have something that you two should see. Previously on the Child of the Moon, the Titan's Curse. Dining Pavilion. A glowing symbol of an owl appeared over Kakashi's head, causing the campers to look at him in awe. The Jonin was definitely stunned at this. It is determined. Chiron's voice boomed. Kakashi tried to protest, but the centaur continued. Athena, he began. Goddess of wisdom, strategy, warfare, and the arts. Hail, Kakashi, son of the wisdom goddess. Now the next order of business, Chiron continued. Naruto needs to be relocated to a cabin while we have the hunters as guests in camp. A bunch of the campers stood to voice their requests. Pretty soon, the campers were hurling insults at each other. The boy in question just sighed in the corner as he listened to the arguments happening around him. Somewhere in the west coast. I knew I could count on you, Luke said darkly, leaving Annabeth to struggle against some unknown force. I knew you would take the bait. Where are you going? Annabeth pleaded. Help me. Oh, don't worry, Luke said, letting out an evil laugh. Your help is on the way. It's all part of the plan. In the meantime, try not to die. Luke's cackling echoed through the walls as the ceiling crumbled again, pushing Annabeth to the ground. Cabin 8. Naruto walked past the beds of the hunters as the older campers looked at him in disdain and the younger ones looking at him curiously. He stopped at the doorway and said, Zoe, we can settle this tonight at the battlefield. He left after that without waiting for the hunters to respond. Camp Half-Blood Meadows. We've got to do something, Naruto declared. We have to go look for her. Think about it, Naruto, Grover reasoned. Chiron didn't approve of Zoe to leave camp. He most certainly wouldn't allow you to. Not exactly the role model you want, Grover answered. Hey, Percy protested. The quest was going to fail without our help. He's got a point, Grover, Naruto defended the boy. Tantalus wanted the quest to fail, so he sent me and Clarice alone. But this time it's different. She didn't allow any of the hunters or you follow her for a reason. I am sure Chiron would say the same thing. Grover countered. Besides, I have something that you two should see. And now a word from our sponsors. Do you have problems finding the right wine for your tastes? Ganymede appeared and enthusiastically said. Do you? Viewer, oh, for the love of. Skips ad. And now to our regularly scheduled program. Grover brought something out of his pocket. He was ready to show the two what he had in hand, but. Bark. Hey, wait a minute. Naruto said, recognizing the bark. That bark. Percy and Grover looked at each other nervously. The barks got louder. The blonde stood up to investigate where it was coming from. And then, seemingly from out of nowhere, a grey dire wolf rammed itself into Naruto, knocking him to the ground. The wolf yapped happily as he moved to attack Naruto's face with slobber. I missed you. Naruto's mind translated the barks. Where did you go? Why didn't you take me with you? I thought you left me like they did. But you're back. Oh yes I am, he answered in between chuckles as the wolf continued his assault. I was wondering where you were. Naruto said as he kept the puppy at bay. He felt weird calling the puppy a puppy, because she wasn't exactly a puppy anymore. She was close to becoming a normal adult dog. Gee, you're so big now, he said, then he turned to Percy and Grover, who were whistling and feigning ignorance. I thought I told you to look after. I did. Percy defended himself, but she disappeared without a trace one morning. Annabeth and I tried looking everywhere for her, but she was just gone. Is that true? Naruto asked the puppy. I went to look for you. Was the puppy's simple response. See, oh, Naruto's universal animal translator. Naruto sighed. At least you're back now. I don't think now is the right time to tell the two of them about this, Grover thought to himself as he absent-mindedly shoved a piece of paper to his back pocket. What he didn't realize was the paper fell off his pocket and drifted off in the wind and flew into the woods. Later that evening, Naruto spent the entire day helping Kakashi train the campers and devising plans to keep. They were lucky that they got one more day of training before the big, goodwill, capture the flag game. Chiron explained that the hunters were on a winning streak. They had won the past 55 times in a row. But Naruto had a good feeling about this game. He had spent his whole life being underestimated. What was one more game where the hunters expected they would win again? Percy disappeared at some point in the day, but Naruto had sensed where he had gone. It looks like he wanted to take things into his own hands as well. They really were brothers. Alas though, he came back empty-handed. Naruto understood where he was coming from. He wanted so much to leave the camp and look for Annabeth and his mother, but he was needed here in camp. He had to assist the campers in the capture the flag game, maybe as a way to prove himself to the hunters. And so here they were after eating dinner. The campers now looked hopeful, ready to test what they have learned from the newest son of Athena. Though, at the Artemis table, the hunters didn't look as happy as they were the night before. Perhaps, Zoe had finally revealed to them her nightmare. Naturally, they would be worried about their mistress. As the time drew near, the campers had huddled together to think about the game plan. There were at least 3 or 4 from the Hermes, Ares, Aphrodite, and Athena cabins, the son and daughter of Poseidon and Zeus respectively, and then the son of Artemis. I think we all know who should be our captain, Malcolm said, looking at Naruto. I agree, Talia nodded. Percy somehow didn't look happy at the suggestion, but he nodded in the end. Oh, he'll make a great captain, Selena said. He'll help us pulverize them. That'll show them that love isn't worthless. This is awesome. Nico cheered from underneath the helmet that was covering his eyes. Right now, he was wearing a breastplate that was several sizes too big for him. Naruto briefly considered letting him let loose the armor altogether, but he pushed that idea aside. After all, not everyone was a shinobi trained to fight even without armor. So, what's the game plan, Captain? Talia asked with a teasing tone. You didn't have to say it like that, Naruto said as he gave Talia a mock glare. Whatever, Talia chuckled. The next moments though, he was surrounded by an air of seriousness. Okay, everybody listen up, Naruto said. I want you to remember your training despite how short it was. And more importantly, I want you forget whatever beef you have with the other cabins even just for tonight. The campers looked at each other unsure of their fellow demigods. Look, I know we all did something to each other, Naruto sighed. But do you want the hunters to continue to look down on us? Like hell, they will. Sherman, one of the Ares siblings said. That's the spirit, Naruto said. Now, for the plan. First order of business, offense. For sure they'll send Zoe to retrieve the flag. Sherman, Selena, and Malcolm, I want your cabins to be the attackers. Hit them with everything you've got. Naruto ordered. Your 2 cabins have the biggest beef against the hunters, use this as an opportunity to get back at them. Plus, you know the woods better than them, use the home field advantage. Leave it to us. The 2 heads of the cabins answered in unison. Connor, Travis, and Beckendorf, your cabins are on defense duty. Use the environment and your crafty tactics to your advantage, Naruto continued. Quote. Nice. Travis and Connor high-fived. We get to prank them. Guys, remember, work fast, but make your traps aren't obvious or half-assed. Naruto reiterated. Charles, the head counselor of the Hephaestus cabin chuckled, I got, M. Talia and Percy, you're with me, we'll pick 'em off using hit-and-run tactics and search for the flag, Naruto said. I have a question, Malcolm spoke up. Won't the defense team be overwhelmed if Charles and the others don't get to set up the traps fast enough? Excellent question, Malcolm. Naruto praised. I trust them to get it done on time. On the off chance they don't, we and the attackers have to buy them time. Malcolm still didn't look convinced. Man, Athena's children are really hard to impress. We'll play on their mindset of thinking of us as pushovers, Naruto explained. I have been underestimated by a lot of people. You should see the look on their faces when I one-up them. Are you questioning our abilities? Charles challenged. Maybe I am. Malcolm didn't back down. You can't blame me for overthinking this. They did always beat us. Then how about let's see which of us take out more of the hunters, Charles offered. You're on. Malcolm answered. Perfect. Naruto said. Let's use the 2. What do you mean? Bianca asked. A little friendly competition between friends can light a fire in their bellies, you know. Naruto answered. How about this? He raised his voice to get the attention of the others. Since you all want me to sleep over, how about this? The cabin with the most takedowns gets to take me in their cabin, deal? The Aphrodite campers squealed. We'll do our best. The only rule I require is, no underhanded tactics against your comrades. Work together, Naruto said, remembering Kakashi's words when he was a genin. If you don't go against them with the intent to kill. Cool. We get to kill the other team. Nico burst out with misplaced excitement. Naruto gave him a stern look. No, Nico. There will be no killing. This is just a game that people take way too seriously. Like you. Bianca asked. Hey, I resent that. A lot more people take it more seriously than me, Naruto said, giving a look to the Ares campus. What? Sherman protested. It's not like I'm the only one who did the stabbing. I didn't say anything, Naruto deadpanned. Gee, good, then. Sherman sputtered at Naruto's statement. Guilty much? Connor muttered under his breath. Shut up. Sherman scolded. But how will they die if they're basically immortal? Percy asked, breaking the argument. Well, they're immortal but not if they fall in battle, Naruto explained. Was that how it always worked? Percy asked, earning a nod from Naruto. The blonde then turned to Nico. I appreciate the enthusiasm, Nico, but you shouldn't get excited about taking a life. Bianca came over with a concerned look on her face. Why? Did you ever try killing before? Naruto nodded with a grave look on his face. It comes with the job. I am a shinobi after all. You're a ninja. Nico's enthusiasm returned. I thought you were just like the others, Bianca said. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. I never did get the time to tell you, did I? Tell you what, I promise I'll tell you everything later. Is that okay? Bianca nodded. I suppose. With one last smile directed at the new demigod, Naruto stood up and looked at his team. As I was saying, if you don't go against them with the intent to kill, you won't win against them. Also, if you don't work together, you won't win. So, basically, we don't hold back and work together, right? Talia asked. Basically, Naruto nodded. So, who's with me? Hold up. Sherman stopped. We don't want you in our cabin. What do we get if we win? Naruto briefly considered this and a familiar gleam glinted on Naruto's eye. Oh. Here we go, Percy muttered, causing Talia to give him an odd look. Well, if you win, I can let you in on a little secret that Grover might have let slip earlier. What's it about? Mark, one of the Ares campers asked. Naruto didn't answer, but his gaze wandered over to the head table where a certain centaur was ready to speak to them. Everyone turned to look at who he was looking at. They gained a curious expression. Their curiosity turned into determined expressions. Although the rookies looked nervous, their curiosity was nonetheless piqued. But Naruto couldn't blame them for feeling that way. It was their first game after all. In the end, cheers escaped the mouths of the campers. They looked like they were ready for anything. Over at the head table, Kakashi looked at the source of the cheering with interest. To be able to rally the others like that, he's grown. For the most part, Grover said as he took a sip from his goblet. Chiron's hoof thundered on the pavilion floor, silencing the chatters. Heroes, he called out. You know the rules. The creek is the boundary line. Blue team, Camp Half-Blood, shall take the westwards. Hunters of Artemis, red team, shall take the eastwards. I will serve as referee and battlefield medic. No intentional maiming, please. All magic items are allowed. To your positions. Intentional maiming, Kakashi asked. Oh, don't get me started on that one, Grover answered. After the centaur's announcement, the teams separated and took their positions. Blue team, follow me, Naruto said. As the players walked, Nico seemed excited. Magic items. Do I get one? He asked. Hate to break it to you, but you won't get one till you're good enough, Percy explained. These swords seriously hurt. I should know. Did you get stabbed? Nico asked rather enthusiastically. Oh, this I gotta hear, Talia said, walking next to the duo. This kid is way too enthusiastic, Naruto thought. Yes he did. Can we talk about me getting stabbed later? Percy pleaded. Thankfully for him, Naruto dropped the story. Although Talia had a vague idea of someone getting stabbed, she felt it from within the trees. She still wanted to know what events led to the stabbing. But she reluctantly dropped it as well since it wasn't time for that. At Talia's suggestion, the blue team's flag was set at the top of Zeus' fist. It was a cluster of boulders in the middle of the westwards that looked like a fist that punched its way out of the ground if you looked at it the right way. But if you looked at it any other way, it looked like a giant deer relieved itself on the area and the droppings solidified. Naruto joked about it changing the name to Poop Pile, but Chiron disagreed with the idea, especially since it was initially named after the king of the gods. He really doesn't have a good sense of humor. Remember the time Naruto sent him a toy lightning bolt when he lost the original? Yeah, Another joke just like that might risk him getting struck down by his master bolt even if he did have a demon fox sealed in his gut. Anyway, I've rambled off again. Geez. It was a good place to place the flag since it was high enough that it was clearly visible like the rules said it had to be, and it didn't matter if you weren't allowed to stay within 10 yards of it. Alright, just a heads up to everyone, Naruto said. They'll probably fight using mid to long ranged attack. Do not engage immediately. Wait till they're within close range distance. Also, do not underestimate their close ranged combat. They are trained for that as well. The horn blared through night signaling the start of the game. Everyone game faces on, Naruto announced, then raised his hands in a familiar hand sign. Taju Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Clones dispersed around the area in groups of 2 to 3. The two siblings who didn't know about Naruto's abilities widened their eyes. The captain decided to send out his clones to scout the area and find out their opponent's game plans. Naruto stood in silence as he waited for news from his scouting party. Come on, Ellis, one of the Ares campers, said impatiently tapping his feet on the ground. Just give me a sec, Naruto said in sympathy. All these other demigods had ADHD just like he and Percy did. They didn't play the waiting game all too well. What's he doing? Bianca asked. He's waiting for word from his clones, Percy answered. Whatever they see gets sent to the original once they disperse. Cool, Nico praised. Just as Percy said that, Naruto opened his eyes as the memories from the clones flooded his mind. Bingo, Naruto muttered. Like that? Bianca asked, earning a nod from Percy. Okay. Defenders, get started. Naruto began. Got it. The said team answered and they went on to do their jobs. Attackers, the hunters' main force is advancing towards us in the middle. It seems they're hitting us with their full force. They're thinking we won't even get to their flag. Intercept them and remember what I said. He continued. Talia and Percy, before we go to their flag, let's help the attackers, Naruto said and his friends nodded. Answer, the blue team went on to work. The Shermans and Selena's cabins hid behind the trees lying in wait. Naruto and his team snuck to the sides of the path the clones had seen to catch the hunters off guard. They were by the creek. Man, this place gave Percy some horrid memories. He could still feel Claris's electric spear. Anyway, the hunters crept through the creek sneaking into enemy territory. Unknown to them, 3 pairs of eyes watched them as they crossed to the other side. Percy, send them a wave, Naruto whispered. Then Talia, give them the shock of their lives. Just a little though. With pleasure. Leave it to me. The 2 children of the big 3 answered. They closed their eyes, concentrating hard enough to control their various elements. The creek's water stirred. The hunters didn't even notice. Then, the water rose to above their height, getting their attention. It's Poseidon's brat, Phoebe warned as she rolled out of the way along with most of their team. Not all of them were lucky though. Around 5 or 6 of them were doused in water. But that was the least of their worries as the familiar crackle of lightning pierced through the night. The lightning hit the moist part of the ground and a small jolt of electricity traveled following the trail to the dampened hunters. No, Phoebe yelled as she watched her sisters drop down unconscious on the ground. She rushed immediately to their sides, checking their pulse for a beat. She breathed a sigh of relief once she felt the familiar beats of her carotid pulse. The leaves rustled around them and they saw the familiar blonde hair of their mistress Sun running towards the direction of their flag. A growl escaped her lips, angry at the fact that they were caught off guard. How? Every time we play, it's supposed to be easy. She sent a fierce look towards the blonde's retreating form along with his 2 companions. Get them. Naruto turned and sent him a goofy grin and gave an order, Selena, Sherman. You're up. A fierce battle cry echoed through the woods as various campers who they recognized as the love goddess children and the demigods who they had a spat with the day before. They definitely felt different, especially the Aphrodite kids. Was the training they saw the other day not just for show? Payback time. Mark yelled as he moved in for an attack. With Naruto, Percy, and Talia. They tried to stifle their laughter as much as possible as they snuck around the area. Did you see the look on her face when we fried the others? Talia said, keeping her voice as low as much as possible. Yeah, it was priceless. Percy echoed her glee. That will teach those stuck-up hunters, Talia huffed. Naruto looked at them and smiled briefly. That was some nice work, you guys, he praised, then his expression turned serious. But we're not done yet. We still have to find the flag. But how do we find it? Percy asked. We could take all night. Easy, Naruto said matter-of-factly. Give me a sec. Naruto sat down into a meditative position and stayed still for a moment. What's he doing? Percy asked. Can't you feel it, seaweed brain? Talia gave him a stern look. What am I supposed to feel? He looked at Naruto and he still couldn't see anything different. He studied Naruto for a couple of seconds, until an orange pigmentation appeared around Naruto's eyes. I'm surprised you were able to feel it, Naruto told the daughter of Zeus. Well, I was once one with the valley. I can sense the energy around us, Talia explained. I guess that makes sense, Naruto answered. Wait a second, Percy finally realized. It feels just like that time, but you look different from that time, he said, remembering the thin slits that replaced his pupils that time in Polyphemus's island. Yep, Naruto said. He revealed his eyes to now have yellow irises with a thick horizontal slit in the middle. This is what it looks like when it is complete and perfect. Seninoyuchin called it Senin Modo or Sage Mode in our language. How does this work? Percy asked. Apparently, this mode doesn't only make me super strong and super durable, it also expands the range of my senses, Naruto explained. Whoa. Percy was amazed by what his best friend had attained. So, where are they? Naruto pointed straight ahead. There. Answer, they crept towards the direction that the blonde pointed to a while back. Percy found it weird that there wasn't any resistance anywhere. He counted earlier in the bus that there was roughly the same number of hunters as they did with the campers. Phoebe wasn't leading a lot of hunters from what they could tell. So why was it that no one was popping up to stop them? Their questions were answered when they popped up in a clearing where a silver flag was raised above the ground. There was no one there, but a lone camper lazily waiting for the game to end. What the? She said, standing upon hearing the leaves rustle. It seems she wasn't expecting anyone to reach their flag. Naruto was right. They were underestimating him so much that they didn't leave anyone there to defend their flag. Hey, it's you, the girl said upon recognizing the blonde. Don't you recognize me? It's me, Kate. She rushed over and gave Naruto a friendly hug. Naruto wasn't sure what to do, so he just patted her on the back and broke the hug. She then turned to Percy and narrowed her eyes at him. Oh, and you too? She eyed Percy with anger in her eyes. I feel like I know you from somewhere, Percy said, trying to pry his mind open for the information. Don't tell me you forgot about what you did to my home. She spoke. Hey, you turned me into a guinea pig. And in the middle of my quest even. Percy protested. You didn't have to free Blackbeard too. The hunter countered. That was Annabeth, not me. Percy corrected. Still, you two were responsible for it, she reiterated with bitterness in her voice. Anyway, if it weren't for him, we wouldn't have gotten out alive. It's great that you're here, well and good. Naruto said. So, does that mean you'll hand over your flag? She gained a determined look. That doesn't mean I'll go easy on you. Besides, you wouldn't hit a girl, would you? Oh, shut it, Talia said and chopped the back of her neck and sent a small jolt of electricity to knock her out. He turned and gave the boys a stern look. You're wasting time. Don't you want to win? Alright. Hi, Percy and Naruto said as they rubbed the back of their heads at the same time. Then, they both gained a serious expression. Let's do this, Naruto said. Get her. Don't let her get away. A voice caught their attention and they looked at each other with a wary look. They wasted no time after that. A lone hunter carrying the flag bearing the camp's insignia was rushing towards the creek. This was what the scouting party saw as they were rushing towards the goal line. After plucking the silver flag from the hunter's hiding spot, they heard a series of clashes from their teammates. Despite their training, the campers weren't able to subdue the more experienced right-hand woman of Moon Goddess. Oh, no, we're not going to make it, Talia said as they dashed as fast as they could towards the goal. Like hell, they're winning. Naruto growled. Percy, hand me the flag. But, Percy tried to reason. There's no time. Naruto snapped. Percy stopped. This was the hardest thing he had to do in his life, trust someone to do things, but if there's one person he would trust to do this, it would be Naruto. So, he threw it. I guess it can't be helped, Naruto muttered to himself. It was loud enough for his friends to hear, but they didn't question him. I'll have to whip it out. Naruto stood there with his eyes closed deep in concentration. The two were staring at him for maybe about 2 seconds, but he suddenly disappeared. With Zoe, "You're not getting or, ack," a camper yelled as he was knocked to the side by this particular hunter. They were definitely caught off guard by the multitude of traps that these wretched campers had set up. First, Elizabeth and a few others were hanging by their waist a few feet off the ground, while the others were buried neck deep underground. Secondly, Phoebe and her team were sprawled down on the ground. She never expected the campers to get the upper hand like this. She was rushing towards the boundary line to get the flag to the other side. At the same time, she spotted her mistress' son doing the same with his 2 companions, except they were unopposed. Zoe grit her teeth as she ducked under an Aphrodite camper's swing and sent a punch to her midsection. She never expected for her to avoid her attack though. Since when did the love goddess children fight so well? She shook that thought off her head as she rolled past another swing and swipe at her feet slam onto her chest. The blonde kid is now almost to the creek. She growled as she desperately tried to increase her speed. As she zipped past one tree, in particular, she did not notice some strange writings glow. She just ran past it with her sights fixated on the goal line. And then, she finally made it. She leaped across the creek and landed on moist soil. She planted the orange flag on their side of the creek. She waited for Chiron to announce the winner, but 4 words were spoken that made her freeze for the first time in her immortal life. "Hey, how's it going?" That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.